Ghosts, monsters, the undead, murderers. Horror allows us to explore the darker avenues in life and to confront our greatest fears. Are you brave enough to seek them out? Then follow me into the spectral study. Today on Shadow Screen, we will be reviewing Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, directed by Andre Overdahl. It was released August 9th this year and is a US-Canadian co-production produced by CBS Films and Entertainment One, distributed by Lionsgate. Based on the perennially popular Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark series, collected and retold by Elna Schwartz and illustrated by Stephen Gammell, this new film adaptation begins on Halloween 1968, when teenage Stella, her two friends Chuck and Augie, and newcomer Ramon happen upon a secret chamber in the old Bellows house while fleeing the town bully, Tommy. Finding a book of scary stories that belonged to Sarah Bellows, the disfigured daughter of the family, who is rumored to have poisoned children, horror fan Stella takes it home to examine and is disturbed when new stories begin writing themselves. Stories involving all present at the house that night.
Some kids went missing, so they boarded it up.
Okay, we saw it. Should we go now?
Who ordered the chicken?
What's that?
It's a book of scary stories.
The concept of a living book or creatures escaping its pages is not fresh, but it is a good method of linking these anthologized stories together into one overarching plot. While Stella and her friends encounter the frightening entities from the book, their main goal is to prevent more stories from being written. After several failed attempts to either return or to destroy the book,
Stop it!
the group realizes that they need to gather whatever information they can about Sarah Bellows, which is a decidedly difficult task as the family has all but erased her from public record. Fans of the story collections will anticipate the resolutions in all of the featured stories, though many of them have been altered to fit the film's narrative. Harold, which is perhaps the most memorable and most frightening story from the collection, has been softened graphically, but the underlying fears of his victim, which are fears of mundanity and of being rooted into one place, are perfectly aligned with the new conclusion. Similarly, Me Tai Doti Walker, which I always thought had a bit of silliness due to the strange words spoken by the head and by the dog in the original story, here becomes the gruesome jangly man, who is a truly vicious, unrelenting horror which represents fear of one's own destruction, specifically during war, and is the only book entity to harm those uninvolved with the Halloween incident, perhaps echoing the fact that innocent bystanders can be harmed during war. The red spot, the big toe, and the pale lady are largely unchanged from their original tales, but the tweaks that have been made are better suited to the fears of the characters experiencing those stories. Ultimately, the film becomes an appease the ghost narrative in its climax, but since this results in a new version of the haunted house tale, which explores the victimization of whistleblowers rather than damsels in distress, I find it an acceptable transition. The characters are primarily stereotypes: the bully, the nerd, the beauty queen, but given the film's structure, it's more palatable than it would be in other works. However, the only characters with noticeable character arcs are Stella and Ramon, who unfortunately suffer a case of insta-love. The acting is serviceable, with a young cast mostly comprised of those yet to earn a breakout role. The creatures are the real attraction here, with character designs closely mirroring the famous Gammell illustrations, though sometimes utilized in different story roles than in their original appearance. Production design is also of a high quality, especially the strong attention to detail that was put into the set of Stella's room, which features a wide array of horror memorabilia of that period. Aside from multiple references to the Vietnam War and the 1968 U.S. presidential election, the time period is underutilized throughout. Similar political and racial themes are clearly present in U.S. current events, so I wonder if the historical setting is meant to parallel our current issues. Since the primary focus of the film is on the story creatures and the bellows haunting, the time period has little impact narratively save in one character's arc. The film leaves an unfinished plot thread, clearly signaling room for a sequel if the inaugural Scary Stories film does well enough at the box office, but it also resolves enough that viewers will be able to accept the ending if only one installment is made. Fans of the books will definitely find much to appreciate here, but adult viewers should not expect to be scared. Rather, they should watch the film through the eyes of their 8-year-old selves in order to fully appreciate this cinematic effort. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is a wonderful gateway film that is sure to capture the imaginations of young genre fans. Pros: new twists on old favorites, respect for the source material, and high production values. Cons: insta-love, generic premise, tepid scares, and little done with historical setting. Final verdict: 3.5 out of 5 decaying film reels. Have you seen Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? What did you think of it? How does it compare to the story collection? Leave your comments below and stay tuned for my upcoming review of the novel The Graveyard Apartment. I'm Sarah Mayacher, librarian and horror enthusiast. Thank you for joining me in the spectral study.